Okay, good morning, good day, 12th of Adar Sheini. Purim, huh? Here we go. And this Yom doesn't, at face value, have anything to do with Purim, but we'll see. Of course, well, tomorrow is Purim, not today. All right, the Torah portion, 12th of Adar Sheini. The Torah portion dealing with altar offerings, right, which we've basically been learning in this whole Vayikra about the Korbanos. So it says, Odom ki yakriv mechem, a person who offers of you an offering. So the grammar is a little off, right? It should have said, when one of you offers. It shouldn't say, a person who offers of you. It should have said, one of you should offer. So what does it mean? You know, whenever we have an oddness of expression, it's not a mistake. It's saying, interpret me, interpret me. So the Alter Rebbe answers, Odom ki yakriv, a man who offers. So the Alter Rebbe says, in order that a man become close to God, Odom ki yakriv, a person who offers, michem, from you should be the offering. He must bring the offering of himself. He must sacrifice his personal animal, which is, again, we don't throw out the animal soul, as we'll learn over here, the virtue of the animal soul. But what is his personal animal? The desire for evil, the Yetzer Hara, that is called the animal soul. Sometimes you have to be careful with this. I think I've said this enough. I hope maybe in all the Tanya we've learned that the animal soul is the vehicle for our animation and ultimately, and therefore for our ability to do mitzvahs. Yetzer Hara is sometimes not separated from it. It's not, here he said the Yetzer Hara that is called the animal soul, but the Yetzer Hara attaches itself, that desire for evil goes to the animal, because the animal is the natural, the one that will take reality for what it sees with physical eyes, what it feels with its flesh. And that's where the achiza, the grasping of the negativity, can attach. Okay, that's Hayom Yom. Refuah Shleimus.
Elka Rachel Basalisa, Barak Benjamin Ben Rachel Blima, Yehudas Goldau Bas Alisa Hana, and Hava Daniela Bas Naomi Hana.
Refuah Shleimus the Korah.
Amen, amen.
Anybody else?
Menachem Yehuda Nisan Ben Rezel Tzevia, Dina Kokabat Yehudit, Levi Yitzchak Ben Elisheva.
Refuah Shleimus. Okay. Lessons in Tanya. Here we go. Starting a new parak. Chapter 37. And we'll do today and Shabbos. Page 483. Lessons in Tanya. And in the Likutei Amorim, Perek Lamed Zayin. And with the schus of our learning, may all who need a refuah have a refuah for it. Perek Lamed Zayin. V'hine, tachlis hashleimus hazeh shel yemei HaMashiach, b'techiyas hamesim. The ultimate perfection, the ultimate completion is the word, of the days of the Messiah and the resurrection of the dead. Now, we spoke about this. What is he speaking about? He's speaking about the time when our eyes will be open, our physical eyes will be open, and we will see physically with our eyes the grandeur and the presence of godliness, as we did at the time of Matan Torah. And that collective experience that all of us had, that every Jewish soul had, that ever is, was, and will be, were present at Matan Torah. That collective remembrance is in each and every one of ours neshama for the taking. For it's a remembrance for the remembering. We just have, it's an interesting thought, isn't it? It's not something you have to learn. It's not something you have to acquire. It's just something you have to remember. Zecher. We have 6 remembrances at the end of davening, right? And these are things that are embedded in our collective souls and in the collective unconscious. I used that word from Carl Jung a few days ago. They're embedded there. And we had that experience, and that experience will rise to the fore again. And at this time, the Yemoshe Mashiach, in the time of Tekiyas Mesim, our souls will not leave our body because of all the thousands, literally, of years that we've done the avodah of birurim and sensitizing, clarifying, sensitizing, cleaning ourselves, thinning out our ego, and therefore making fit vessels for Elokus. We'll see it in front of our eyes. That's what he's speaking about, back inside. So this Tachlis HaShlemus Hazer Shel Yemei Mashiach Tekiyas Mesim, which is Gili Or Ein Sof Baruch Hu Ba'olam Hazeh Gashmi, which is the revelation of the infinite light. May it be blessed in this world, in this physical world. So that revelation, that physical revelation, depends upon our deeds and our service throughout the entire expanse of the Galus. Because what causes the reward of the mitzvah, which is this Gilui Elokus, revelation of godliness in front of our physical eyes, this is the mitzvah itself. Mitzvah Beloshin Savto Bechibur, connecting oneself. The mitzvah is a connection. Ki be'asiyah soh, because in doing the mitzvah, mamshich ha'odem gili oren so baruch hu milamai l'lamata, a person draws down the revelation of the Or Ein Sof from above to below, lehislabish begashmius olam hazeh, being clothed in this world, v'dover shehoyu techila tachas mamshelas klippus noiga, in something which initially, before you used it for the mitzvah, was under the rulership, in the domain of klippus noiga, and was receiving its light from the klippa. So very simply, the dvar mitzvah, the thing of the mitzvah that you do, when you hold this esrog, for example, as he's going to give an example, at this moment that I'm holding it, it's a fruit, and only a fruit. But when I use it for a dvar mitzvah, I'm investing Hashem's ratzon, because God's will is the mitzvah. This is what Hashem wants. I'm investing God's will, and we've learned that will, ratzon, is a part of God's crown, meaning it's part of his very most inner desires, his inner self. He puts his inner self into this mitzvah. When I do the mitzvah, I draw down that inner self, which we call here the ratzon, the will of Hashem, into the thing down here below. And what are these mitzvahs? Of course, these are kol hadavorim. What are these objects with which? What are these objects with which we can do the mitzvahs? Shehem kol hadavorim hatahorim umoistrim umetorim shenase behem mitzvahs. These are the things that are permissible, that are pure, and which are permissible to do mitzvahs with them. Mitzvahs masiyas, mitzvahs of deed. Higayin, for example, we take a physical piece of cow skin, parchment, and we make klaf hatafilin. It's the same parchment, same skin. Nothing's changed about that materially, but something has changed about it spiritually, because we're using it now for tefillin, which is an action that is associated with and is the embodiment of God's will. Or, for instance, and we make tefillin or mezuzah, a sefer Torah. Well, Kamman our sages have said, that which is the only things which are kosher, physical, fitting for the work of heaven, those things which are pure and permissible to put in your mouth. So the object has to be something which is in the domain of the permissible, in order for you to draw something down, draw Hashem's will into it, and have fulfilled a positive mitzvah, which mitzvah mitzvah v'chibur connects you and God together. Similarly, similarly, well, let's do the footnote because it's short. He explains something about the negative. If you take the same esrog, but it's in an orla, right? It's in one of the years, 1 to 3 years, you can't touch it. 4th year, you have to bring it up to Jerusalem. And the 5th year, you can eat it. But if it's in the state before that, it's called orla. Orla means closed up. So if that esrog in the state of prohibitedness, that prohibitedness of the fruit, even though it's the same fruit, comes from the 3 unclean klippas, which never have an elevation. Is written in the writings of the Rizal. Likewise, any mitzvah that comes from Avera, the simplest one that comes to mind is giving tzedakah with stolen money. That's not a mitzvah, it is a mitzvah, and that money is not elevated. I mean, in fact, it's degraded into the Gimel Klippas of Tameas, the 3 unclean Klippas. So, if you take money that's fit for tzedakah, right, or unfit for tzedakah, then it's going to be remaining down here below. Now, top of the page, if you take that, and you take a permissible thing, the esrog in a permissible state, for example, and you fulfill the mitzvahs of Hashem, in God's will. The life force, the enlivening energy, which is bringing that esrog from a seed to maturity, all that energy which is embedded in it, all of that energy, rises up and becomes absorbed in. Now, the word here is misbatel, nullified. But we see this often, like we're talking constantly about to nullify oneself. And we've explained it according to the way it's understood and sometimes explained explicitly in Hasidus. It doesn't mean to batter yourself into a pulp and become nothing. It means to nullify the negative, nullify the metzias, the self-fullness, the separateness of oneself, right? So similarly here, this oila, this esrog rises up umisbatel and is giving itself over totally to the infusion of kedusha when you use it in that way, in the manner of a mitzvah. The nichlal, and that esrog, for example, and all the life force which is within it, is nichlal be'orins of Baruch, becomes included in the infinite. May he be blessed. Shehu Ratzoni is Baruch. And what is the infinite? That level of the infinite, which is God's blessed will. A malubesh bohem, which is enclosed in the mitzvahs. Because in God's will, there is no concealment. Again, God's will is in the crown. The crown is openly infusing light and energy. Open, no concealment, no hester punim, no concealment of the face or no concealment of the panemius of Hashem at all. Lahaster order yisporet, to conceal the light of Hashem, may he be blessed. Of course, Haster and Esther, here we are with Purim, which is Megala the Hester, Megalus Esther, to reveal the concealed. And also the power of the animal soul, which you're chewing. Well, it's not the Esrog, the orange. You're chewing it, right? With the animated, well, the Esrog, you're holding it with your hand. All of that is the power that's given into the limbs through the animal soul. So similarly, this Esrog, this orange that you're using for the bar mitzvah, this parchment, this skin that you're using for mitzvahs, and also the life force of the animal soul, which is in the limbs of the person, hamakayim mitzvah, who fills the mitzvah. So the animal soul is also it's enclosed in the doing. I'm holding the mitzvah, the esrog, I'm writing the tefillin. So all the chayas in the animal soul, that in the time of you doing this mitzvah, it rises up from the klippas. Remember, it was klippas neiger, so it could go either way. So the animal soul, now its animus is included in kedusha. As he said, menichla b'kedushas mitzvahs, kedushas and mitzvahs, and it's included in the holiness of the mitzvahs. Shehira tzani yisborach, which the mitzvahs are God's blessed will, and the animal soul and the chayas that's in it, the energy of the animal soul becomes batal, again subsumed, absorbed, given over totally, the or and so baruch into the infinite light. Blessed be He, or blessed be it. It really goes Ein Sof Baruch Hu, the infinite one, blessed be He. Not so much on the light, but the infinite one, the or of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. But sometimes it's understood to be it's just the or, right? I mean, just a little technicality, but it's important. Or Ein Sof is not Ein Sof itself. There's the infinite one, and then there's the one, the one who emanates light, which is a less panemius exposure, because he's now coming out and investing himself in light. But you can put that aside or not ingest it and eat it. V'gam, the mitzvahs Talmud Torah. So also, when it comes to the mitzvahs of Talmud Torah, learning Torah, right? I'm sitting here and learning, but obviously I'm not talking it out. We know that to be yotzi, you have to speak it. But let's say I'm just sitting here and when silently learning inside my brain. The Krishma, and I'm saying Krishma and davening, or kiyaytzebehem, even though you may be looking at the words that you're learning and not saying it, and so you're not actually doing something with your physical limbs. I mean, in a subtle way you are, and your brain is, but that's machshava, but it's not maisa. Machshava dibra, it's not maisa ha-mitzvah if you're just thinking about it. So even though you're not doing it with physical limbs limbs mamish, which the limbs are under the domain of klippas noiga, it's established for us by the Chachamim in the Gemara Bruchos. It says the hira lav kedibur domi. Just thinking is not like speaking, and it's not like action. So therefore, therefore you don't fulfill your the obligation of fulfilling the mitzvah until you bring it out into with your lips, or or with your brain to think about it is not sufficient. You have to bring it out through your actual limbs. The kaimalon, and it's established for us that movement of the lips is a deed. So that's why we learned this earlier in Tanya, that to fulfill the mitzvah Talmud Torah, you have to be saying it. And to fulfill the mitzvah davening, it isn't enough to just be meditating. You have to bring the words to mouth. Because it's impossible. Now here's we're getting now back to the virtue of the animal and the animal soul. So to fulfill the mitzvah, you need the animal. You need the lips. You need the mouth. You need the body, whatever the mitzvah is. Because it's impossible for the godly soul, levate b'sfosayim, upeh, ulashon, b'shinayim, hagashmiyim. It's impossible for the godly soul to utter anything with its lips and its mouth and its tongue and its teeth and its physical teeth, without the animal soul, which is enclosed in the limbs of the body, mamish. And the more of your body or body part, if it's your teeth speaking, the more of your body you put into the mitzvah. So the whole mashem medaber b'koya gadol, use a speech, for example. The more you speak, the louder you speak, the more focused your speech, Yosef, You're enclothing more of the powers of the animal soul in these words. This is what the scripture says. David HaMelech, right? David HaMelech? Kol atzmoisei temanu. David HaMelech says in Tehillim, he says, all my bones speak of you. Kol atzmoisei temanu. All my bones speak of you. V'zeh she'omer Razal, this is what our sages have said, Im arucha b'kol remach eborim mishtameres. If Hashem and the mitzvahs are present, if they're spread out literally in all 248 limbs, then they are preserved. They will stand. V'im lav, if not, en mishtameres. They won't stand. They won't be preserved. Ki hashkocha hi meklipis haguf, because forgetfulness is amongst the clippers of the body. The nefesh ha'chiyunis ha'bahamishahen, and the animals, the enlivening soul, and the animal soul, which is clothed with the, which is associated with the body, meklipis nager, from the light klippa, and the klelis l'pa'ami b'kedusha, which sometimes this is klipis nager, sometimes it's included in kedusha, and sometimes not. V'hainu yeshematish koichen. When is it included in kedusha? Yematish koichen, when you weaken their power. Again, here's another place where you could stumble. Weakening, you're saying weakening the body? No, I mean, it doesn't make any sense, right? So those places where it's called beating the body, subjugating the body, doesn't make any sense. If we're saying the whole strength of the mitzvah and the preservation and incorporation of the mitzvah in your daily life, in your daily cellular existence, is through the power of the nefesh of the amis, right? So what does it mean you're weakening? You're weakening in its attraction to the other side, because the other side is zela umazeh, just as powerful. You can embed every cell of your body with the negative, God forbid. But here you're embedding, I'm using this metaphor kind of freely, you're embedding every soul of your body, every corpuscle, every subatomic particle is being now embedded of the animal. Your body is being embedded with Kedusha. Umachnis kol koichan b'Kedushas HaTorah. And this is because you're doing, he's using now again the mitzvah Talmud Torah, you've machnis kol koichan, you've brought into force, into application, all the power of the body and the nefesh bahamis in kedusha of the Torah, in the holiness of the Torah, or tefillah or davening, which was the examples we used. And that's that today. And I mean, that was Shabbos, by the way. The whole Perek Lamed Zion started with today and went through to what we said up till now is Shabbos as well. All right? Any comments? Any question? You know, one thing that stands out from my mind is the importance of memory. Zecheres Amolek, right? Amolek. We say, and we have shesh zechiros, 6 memories at the end of davening. In a certain way, and I'm just saying, in a certain way, everything we need to become the Beinoni, to become someone whose thought, speech, and action are all aligned with Hashem, is just to remember what we have inside of us. Of course, that's how to bring that memory into consciousness and wake it up from sleep is another story. That's the story of the Megillah. Nodad Ashnas HaMelech, the king woke up. But it's all there, lodged inside of us. Reza, you're there.
Okay, yeah. So thank you. I remember, I think it must have been this Perek, when there was a Machon Chana in Elka Park. So I don't remember the name of the shaliach who spoke to us, but he emphasized that the tzaddikim felt this actually happening. They had less of a hiddenness. They if you would want to say any of the Rebbes or other tzaddikim, or even like someone like Raphael of Parich, I'm sure they really felt enlivened by mitzvos. They felt this happening, but the emphasis is that this is for everybody, is accomplishing it, even if we're kind of in a fog and we don't experience it. The koach of the mitzvah.
It's true. It's true. But one of the tachlises of Hasidus is to come out of the fog.
Yeah.
So we're not satisfied with remaining in the fog. Though what you say is true. Even if you don't experience it, it's happening. But it's much richer, of course, and one's enthusiasm is much richer if you feel it and bring it to and quote see it. Yeah. All right. But it is happening. That's your point. Absolutely. Anybody else? Therefore, since it is all happening, we may as well bring it out and we can see it, right? We may as well raise the Pintele Yid to consciousness in our daily life. Is it hard to do? Well, yeah, but no. Maybe some of you can give an example of moments you've had, encounters you had, where the Pintele Yid is front and center. All right, you can't now, so think about it.
Well, for me, it was no. For me, it was definitely in that specific time that I had first come to Tannersville, and I was part of everything in Machol Chana. So it just was a very wondrous thing, because you're introducing mitzvos. And those who you're introducing the mitzvos to, it's like their first time.
Right.
And I think that's really what I was trying to say. And that's like what is coming to me now from everything, is that, like, on one hand, you say, oh, that's for a tzaddik. But on the other hand, how is it that I saw people who, they may not have even been keeping all the mitzvos yet. Sure. And yet they had so much of this doing a mitzvah with your entire being. I did see that.
You saw it.
So that means that it's accessible for all of us. Like, if it's accessible for someone who it's her first Friday night, so she feels so enlivened by that first Friday night. So that means that it's accessible for me. It's just that I've kind of I've kind of gotten used to Friday nights. Right. But yes, it is accessible for all of us. We do have that. We do have that ability to awaken it.
Because Amach Kulam Tzadikim. We have tzaddik within us. We have Pintele Yid, Achelek Elakam Emal. Yes, so I think it's helpful. I'm not going to stay here and we'll talk about it, but think about those things, the kinds of things that Royce is speaking about, and think about those moments, because those moments are memories, right? And when you activate memory, we've learned here, memory is the key to unlocking the deep. So everyone's had those moments somewhere along the way. It's good to bring them up to consciousness, because it helps to bring everything else up to consciousness. All right, a good Shabbos and a Freilich and Purim. Ad Yada. Bring up from the depths to a higher than the heights. Have a great Purim.
Are you going to be meeting on Sunday morning?
I think so, yeah. Why not? I mean,
okay.
Why not? It's early. For me, it's early enough before I'm going out to shul. So okay. Yeah, I'll be here. Mr. Shem, Sunday morning.
Okay.
Okay.
Have a good Shabbos.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Good
Happy Shabbos. Thank you.
Purim Sameach.